What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Basement Monsters podcast. I'm Ivan Vargas. With me, of course, is my boy Luke Nettles, and we got Josh Ward and special guest Josh Davidson. Now, Josh and me, we all went to the same high school. Josh, it's good to have you. What's up, dude?
Definitely, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to get this going.
Yeah, you like the podcast? I mean, I saw you and your dad last week. You guys are chiming in quite a bit.
Lloyd and I a few two drinks, and we certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Lloyd sounded like he was having fun.
He could possibly watch it now for all we know.
Yeah, but anyway, guys, it was a good week one, right? Good week one. Luke, sorry. I mean, it was a good week one for me and the Bears, but like it was barely a good week. Barely a good week. But hey, 1-0 is 1-0. But you know, it's another big week. Bears play the Giants today. We're gonna get you the Bears game, and then we're gonna get you the Chiefs and Chargers game, along with Luke's beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But you know, first things first. There's a game before all this. Thursday night, Browns, Bengals, Joe Burrow versus Baker Mayfield. I like what I see from Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean that's a great game. Set a record. 61 passes attempted. It didn't complete. Decent percentage, but still, I mean, like the guys making the throws, like some phenomenal throws. Like you couldn't ask more for a guy like that. Took a little bit more pressure than he probably liked. Mm-hmm. Mixon probably could have got involved a little bit more. But you like what you see. I mean, like you give that guy some talent around him, and man, the sky's the limit.
I liked what he said afterwards, and I'm going to paraphrase regardless, but it's going to be very limited. It was something along the lines of him not accepting losing. Like losing is unacceptable. No,
that's not why you get in the game.
He understands why. He even said it was something like he's never experienced this.
Right.
He's like, I've never lost back-to-back games like this. Or I've never like lost a game like that in my career. And like it's like that's telling, but it's also
high school,
right? And it's telling of a guy that says, hey, I recognize this, I understand this, and this is unacceptable. I got to be better.
It's also great though that he's. I feel like with that attitude and his past, like he's setting the tone for those Cincinnati Bengals. Like, look, guys, I'm not cool with this. Like, if you guys are just here to get a paycheck, then we got to change that. Like, I'm here to win. AJ Green, I mean, come on, who deserves to win more than that guy? That guy's been there suffering in Cincinnati for how long? Played with Dalton, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, come on, that guy's ready to do something. He's finally got a quarterback that could get him the ball. And Mixon's not a bad running back.
He's not. I was going to say mixing in with Mixon. Mixing in with Mixon. Mixon's mix into the offense is great because you haven't had that in a while. You haven't. When was the last great Cincinnati running back? Corey Dillon?
Yeah.
When was the last time?
Great.
Benson.
Probably Icky Woods.
I mean, Corey Dillon was great for the Bengals. Like,
right,
he really
it's pretty good, yeah.
But, I mean, you finally have a running game, and you got a guy that's he's poised to be the leader. That's the thing that he said. That's what leaders say.
Exactly.
Leaders recognize that you're not where you need to be.
They set the tone.
But we need to be there. And he set the tone. Let's move on from Joe Burrow. Like I said, I like what I see from Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is going to be – I think he's going to be a superstar. I think he's going to change the Bengals franchise around, and I think he's going to do it in a hurry.
Just because I don't want to be one-sided on this, Let's just briefly touch Cleveland. I mean, you got the best running back duo in the NFL. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody else says.
It's hard to argue.
Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. I'm sorry. Show me a better one. Baker was Baker. Through his little picks, Baker, he feels dangerous, and he is dangerous sometimes to his own team. But Baker's Baker. They pulled it out. OBJ finally got on the board.
Right.
Nice pass. All that good stuff. Landry's still there. My biggest thing about Cleveland, though, was that you went out and spent all this money on your shiny new toy, Austin Hooper, and I didn't see much from him.
Yeah, I didn't see much from him at all. And it's weird because you got teams throwing around money, especially Cleveland. Cleveland's been throwing around money left and right.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell? It's like, all right, find something that works. What is it? Because you've rotated so many players in and out that it can't be the players. You fired so many coaches. It can't be the coaches.
I mean, that's the thing, though. It's like we've learned this in sports all around in general. Money, just because you have money doesn't mean that whatever you buy is going to fix it.
Right.
Like Joku is a capable tight end. Maybe it's a game plan or a different, get him in a different set, get him over here in a screen, kind of like how the Titans used to use Delaney Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get him involved in something like that. But like to go out and spend the money on Hooper and then not really use him.
That's the thing, and you see this all the time. You see guys have huge years.
Yeah.
And then they get in the contract year, they make that money, and then they're total busts for their team.
But I mean, different quarterbacks too.
That's true. But game one, I get for Hooper, it was bad. I'm not going to call him a bust of a free agent signing right now, but that's not a good look. You want to get your prize free agent going initially. You want to feed him the ball. That's why you brought him here. You know what I'm saying? But let's move on. Tampa Bay, bro. Yeah. We watched that game. We were kind of like running around with our like chickens with our heads cut off for a little bit last week. But it was a rough game. Initially it started out with promise, and then all of a sudden it just kind of looked rough. The more you get, the more it went through.
No, I agree. Like we talked about last week. Like just because you see Tom Brady's name show up on a roster doesn't mean you're getting the same Brady from the Belichick years. Like this is a new offense, a new coach, new personalities, new offensive line. Like you can't just hide behind the offensive line this year. Like this line is not any of your Patriots lines at all. And then you still got the Fournette, question. Evans was just off a hamstring.
Right.
Godwin, concussion.
There was
Rob Gronkowski not very involved.
Right.
We're gonna see.
Josh, you said we were talking outside earlier. You were talking about how you don't feel like Brady's the GOAT of all GOATs, or was that what?
No,
was
that
it?
was the other Josh.
Oh, that was you. This Josh.
Yeah.
You said you didn't feel like Brady was the GOAT of all GOATs. What do you mean?
I mean, like Luke was saying, like Brady had such a good offensive line in New England that protected him and kept him up, and he was able to make those great passes to mediocre receivers that he made look good. He's a good quarterback, but to me, he needed help to be a GOAT, quote unquote GOAT. Yeah. So like, there's other people that probably do it with less than what he had and don't get the same recognition. Right,
and I'm sorry. Knowing you're a Michigan fan,
I'd almost argue
I should have known.
that. I don't know if Tom Brady's had tons of weapons. No, I'm not a Brady fan, but I think Brady is the GOAT. I do. And I would almost argue that he hasn't had as many weapons around him. I will say he's got the best coaching around him, and I guess I'll agree with the offensive line because they're a smart franchise. But I don't know if he's had he's made the weapons around him look great. What happened?
No, yeah, he's made the mediocre players look great because he has a great offensive line.
And a great scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah. A great quarterback can make decent receivers look great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that we're going to see a frustrated Tom Brady for long, but it doesn't help when you got Chris Godwin's going to be out with concussion. You had Evans last week. What was he?
He barely made the game.
He played, but he barely got. He barely made the game, but he barely even got used. One catch. It's rough. Hopefully they bounce back. Who they played today?
They played another division game, so they're back-to-back divisions. He played Carolina. Carolina, I'm going to tell you, we saw it last week. I mentioned it real quick. It wasn't like prolific or anything like that, but that Robbie Anderson addition and the chemistry that Robbie Anderson and Bridgewater have is kind of scary because there's not anybody on Tampa's defense that can run with Robbie Anderson. And Bridgewater is, quote, mobile, more mobile than Tom, let's say that. Plus he has Christian McCaffrey, which makes everything easier.
Right.
But this Carolina team is, the other thing about them is it's unknown. Like you don't have a lot of tape to watch this personnel to understand what they're doing.
Well, last week against the Raiders, Carolina versus Oakland, it was a shootout.
Right.
Carolina didn't look too bad on offense, but I mean,
Robbie Anderson needed one play, 75 yards.
Right, but you're allowing 30 points on defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's their thing. But, I mean, obviously, Tampa, what they put up last year, like it was like 34-27 or something like 26, something like that.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, like I said, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, this is it's rough right off the start that you start with 2 division games. So Tampa falls 0-2, then, now what? Now we got to dig out of a hole in order to even be anybody in the division, you know.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting.
Well, it'd be fun to see. I mean, like, you know, I think those divisional games in the South are always fun. They're always tough and hard fought.
Yeah,
And
nowadays, I mean, just speaking on that, like, so you got Atlanta. I mean, Julio and Ridley put up over 100 yards. Like, that's another thing you have to compete with. Then you got the Saints, and we're going to see what the Saints do without Michael Thomas today. That's what I'm more interested in, is seeing, like, New Orleans without Michael Thomas. Drew Brees' comfort blanket is not out there. So I'm looking for Jared Cook. I'm looking for Kamara, and maybe even possibly a lot more Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill is a guy that, like, who'd have thought, you know, you could utilize a quarterback in a way you could utilize a running back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, who'd have thought that would –
Or a receiver.
Yeah. Or a receiver. All right, well, let's switch up to our game, the Bears game. Bears-Giants. Bears narrowly escaped the Detroit Lions last week with a Swift gif, if you will. DeAndre Swift dropping the ball in the waning seconds of the game that allowed the Bears to seal the deal. I'm not too worried about it because we got the win, but I am worried about it because the defense was subpar at best. And there was a lot of holes open in the middle of the field. There was a lot of miscommunications, a lot of guys out of position, and that was the last thing I was expecting to see. The offense, that's one thing. Everybody in the world expected a slow start from the offense, but that defense, that made me very nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have more criticism for the defense than I do for the offense, based on what I saw last.
Well, why is that?
Just the defense didn't look in sync. I mean, don't get me wrong. I secretly enjoyed seeing AP Old Man have a good game.
Right.
But if AP did what he did to us last week, what are we in for this week? And if Saquon goes off, how do you win the game?
I understand that. Good.
Vice versa. Let's go off of that right there.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bears defense obviously has juggernaut-ish tendencies. We saw a Steelers defense, the stellar linebacking core. In the backfield, I mean, almost taking the handoff from Daniel Jones before he got to Saquon Barkley. It was that they were back there that fast. Pagano, and we were talking about it last week, the blitzing and the getting the pressure to the quarterback was not there.
Mm-hmm.
Not there. But today, if the Giants' offensive line is as porous as it was last week, Daniel Jones,
he's in trouble.
He's in trouble.
Saquon. He's in trouble. You got something, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right, for sure. I hope the Bears could capitalize on that for sure. Because to me, the Bears defense hasn't been what they were in like a year and a half. So we need whatever it is, whether it was Chuck Pagano changing the scheme or the players, you know, are in different zones or whatever. We need Khalil Mack to do something today. You know, he needs to be in that stat sheet filled up with tackles, pressures, hurries. He needs to create some havoc there, man.
And I think he's going to, because now he's got a battering mate in Robert Quinn.
Exactly.
Robert Quinn's starting today. He will be active. He had an ankle. He wasn't active week 1, but he will be in the lineup today. And that's good for the Bears.
Yeah,
that's huge for the Bears because we saw
the more the merrier.
The more the merrier, because we saw what we saw last week. What happened with the Giants against the Steelers, and Saquon he couldn't breathe.
No,
Saquon was suffocated. Right now, we're going to go ahead and jump to a special guest, one of our, a good friend here to the Basement Monsters, Brandon Suarez. Brandon Suarez was with me interning for Sports Zone Chicago at first, before the pandemic. He works for the On Tap Sportsnet. Brandon Suarez. Brandon, what's up, dude?
What's up, Ivan? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. How are things over there?
Hey, it's a lot has happened since the last time we talked. Just I would say 48 hours ago. Tariq Cohen got paid. Robert Quinn is healthy. I was a little, I guess I overreacted. Had a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction to seeing Akeem Hicks on the injury report with illness, but I think our guy is good. I love the points that you guys brought up. The Bears need to shore up the middle of this defense at the first and second level. You know, the front line leaves some stuff to be, left out there on the field. Obviously, like I said on Friday, without Eddie Goldman, it's a tough sale to get a free agent or a marquee player to that position to replace him. So I look for the Bears to try and utilize a couple different packages in that set. But Roquan and Danny Trevathan have got to have a great game today. And one thing that should not go understated is their ability to cover Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield, because if they can't get the run going, they're going to try and get him the ball by any means necessary, and he is an absolute problem catching it out of the backfield.
Absolutely. Luke's got a question for you, Brandon.
Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Just so you know, like we saw Evan Ingram kind of neutralized last week by Pittsburgh Steelers linebacking core, which I would say is maybe one of the best in the NFL. How do you see Evan Ingram matching up against this Bears linebacking core this week?
So I think with Evan Ingram and a guy like that, you're going to have to do a sort of bracket coverage. You can't really go man to man on him. He's going to beat Trevathan or Roquan 8 times, 9 times out of 10. So if you can somehow bracket the safety over the top, where you have safety help over the top and the linebacker, short to intermediate, I think you'll be able to stop a little bit of the bleeding. But as you guys know, a young quarterback's best friend is a tight end. They do get Golden Tate back today, who also is a really good receiver in that offense for Daniel Jones. I know he's had a lot of production. I just think if the Bears are able to kind of keep their weapons at bay and make sure that Daniel Jones does not have a clean pocket to throw from, which with Quinn coming back, I think between Quinn and Mack, they'll have a very good day. It's going to be a long day for the Giants offense.
I agree. I totally agree. With how poorly they played last week, it's just you would hope to see that. But then again, like we said, with the Detroit Lions, we were expecting them to go ahead and be tough and stout against their offense, even though their offensive line is somewhat of their strength. We thought they were going to be able to slow down an old Adrian Peterson. Now you got a fresh Saquon Barkley.
An angry Saquon Barkley too.
An angry Saquon Barkley at that. The winning at the point of attack is going to be a huge part of dictating who's going to control the running game. I want to go ahead and jump over to the defense. The Giants' defense against our offensive line. I didn't think the offensive line played particularly well. I thought they played okay. I thought the first 3 quarters of last week's game, they were just kind of just going through the motions.
Perfect way to put it. Yeah,
they were going through the motions, and all of a sudden, something clicked in the fourth. How do you see this Giants defense, who got pressure on Big Ben, who knocked Big Ben out for a second? They were getting to Ben early. How do you see them attacking the Bears offense?
So like you said, no slow starts. We need to come out firing on all cylinders, and that offensive line needs to pick up where they left off. One thing I don't want to see today, if that pocket collapses, I need to see Mitchell Vick. I need to see Mitchell out, and
That's right.
I need to see it because he wasn't running last week. He tucked his tail plenty of times in situations where we know he can go for 15 or 20 yards. And I mean, the guy is 6'2", 225. Like, he's not a small quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. He can take a hit. He's a tough SOB, but he needs that clean pocket because at the end of the day, I want to see the Bears really attack that secondary. I know with Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, that's a lot of high draft capital. And I think they actually traded for Leonard Williams. I don't think they drafted him, but those are high draft picks where they have a good skill set. And I think the thing that is the place to best attack this defense is the secondary. If they don't have a pass rush, that secondary is going to be looking at the back of jerseys all day long.
Yeah, I feel like you're right, dude. I feel like you're absolutely right. And what I want to see is from the Bears offensive line, I want to see them continue to when they're going to run the ball. I want to see them going downhill. Last week we saw them continue to run the football, and then finally they started breaking through with big games late in the game. I want to see that against this Giants defense. You think that they're going to make it a point of emphasis to run the football, and then run the football again?
Run the damn ball. I wish I had a hat or a shirt on that says it, but I really do believe, and it's very cliche and as meatball take that you can get, but everything in football starts up front, and it starts with running the football. If you can make a layup in basketball, why wouldn't you do it? That's what running the football is in football. You can get 3-4 yards of pop, and you have 3 different backs that all have 3 different skill sets to bring to the table. Keep them guessing. Keep this defense on their heels. I think it was I totally forgot his name, but your co-host on Sports Zone on Friday said, why don't we start no huddle? start no huddle. Shove a touchdown right down their throat. Put them right on their heels.
Yeah, Jason Palmer from What's Up, Cuz. Another show on Sports Zone Chicago on Mondays from 6 to 8. But yeah, you're right. Run no huddle. No huddle. Mitch has already said he works better when he's not thinking. Well, what is no huddle? You have to react. It's reaction.
You didn't react.
It's quick timing passes and mixed in with a little bit of run, mixed in with a little play action, and that's what it is. Like that's tempo. That's Mitch's game, in my opinion. But the one thing that you said, and I like, it's on point. You have to turn into Mitchell Vick. At a certain point, you got to understand. Hey, man, maybe I should just take that instead of looking downfield for a huge chunk. Maybe I should just take that, slide my ass on the ground, and live the play another day.
There's nothing that would make me want to run through a brick wall more as if Mitch gave a Jay Cutler truck stick. I would literally run through the wall in my apartment. I swear to God, that would be so funny.
I would love to say, oh man, I love. See, part of me loved Jay, and then there was God, Jay.
Yeah, Mitch is very well turning into the second coming of Jay Cutler because there's so many people that love him and so many people that hate him, and it's so polarizing in Chicago. And honestly, if you just need the kid to be successful. We just want him to be successful, and at that point, win us football games, and you will be a legend.
Oh, that's no doubt. Hey, Brandon, we're gonna let you go. We'll hit you up at halftime.
Absolutely.
Halftime of the Bears Giants. Thanks for being on, dude. I appreciate it. We'll see you at the half.
Thanks, Brandon.
Bear down, dude. All right, guys, that was Brandon Suarez from the On Tap Sportsnet. Bears on tap. I think NIU on tap. Irish on tap. Brandon's doing it all. Yeah, man, I feel like if the Bears defense can turn it on now that you got a Robert Quinn, this game's pretty much wrapped up.
Yeah, I mean, going up, it's kind of piggyback of what both of you guys were kind of saying. I would say that the Trubisky starting no huddle, blah, 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 letting him do whatever he needs to do to get that. We understand, and we saw it last week too, as they were calling the plays and they were getting him in rhythm. Mm-hmm. Rhythm. If his rhythm is fast and it's no huddle, then let's run with it. Get him in rhythm. Get him comfortable. Get him completing these passes. Get his confidence up. Get his, just get him going.
Get him lathered. Get him nice and sweaty lathered up. Get him moving.
The rhythm thing can also transition to that running game. Both those backs. We saw they had a pretty good game last week. Now that's the balance you have to have. You have to have the balance of getting the quarterback in rhythm and the running backs in rhythm. Once they establish that, if, like I said, then the sky's the limit. Now you bet on your defense keeping you in the game and making stops.
All right, we're going to go to predictions before we get out of here. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to go ahead. Josh, read down the slate of games that are on today.
Well, Giants, Bears, obviously. Rams, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys, Panthers, Bucks, Niners, Jets, Broncos, Steelers, Jags, Titans, Lions and Packers, Bills, Dolphins, Vikings, Colts, the Washington team, I believe is their name, Cardinals, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs, Chargers, Patriots, Seahawks, and the Saints and Raiders.
Say it with some bass in your voice next time. But anyway.
Well, they got a lot to read here.
Yeah, no, but anyway, John, staying with you, what's your prediction on the game? Give me a score and give me a winner, give me a score.
Game?
Your game. How about this? You do your game, whatever game you want. You do your Bucks game, we'll do the Bears. Actually, do them both. You could do both. I'll let you do
Bucks and Bears?
I'll let you do Bucks and Bears.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Obviously, I'm going to go with the Bears. I'm going to go 24-17 Bears.
I'm going to go Bears 31 and Giants 17. I just don't think after that offensive line debacle, I don't know that you fix that in a week.
No, I don't think so.
I do like the Giants, don't get me wrong, but that debacle is that was horrible. Bucks wise and Panthers, I think that has the tendency to be a shootout. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna shoot a little high. I'm gonna say let's go 28-24 Bucks.
28-24 Bucks. Okay, Josh.
I'm gonna go with 31-13 Bears.
31-13 Bears. Okay, I'm going 30.
Saquon out of there.
I'm going 34-10, like I said earlier. 34-10 Bears. I think the defense shows up. I think Mitch. Mitch has it, but I think Mitch has a good game against a team, not the Lions. And I think the running game, shows up again. I think the running game.
Play good though, right?
What's that?
He has to play good though, right?
He has to.
Foles is waiting.
This is it. He has to. There's no. You're absolutely right, Jess. There's no excuses anymore. You have to play well.
I'm gonna say one thing, just for Bears. I know you guys are gonna hate it, but it's the same thing. Back-to-back weeks. AP, decent running back. Saquon, great running back. Hawkinson, a developing tight end, young guy. Evan Ingram, a great tight end too. So if they find themselves in the same holes that they found themselves last week, it could get dicey.
Get pretty dicey. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of the game's about to start. Bears, Giants, or you're probably the Bucks start now?
Yeah, Bucks are at noon.
Either Bears, Giants, or Bucks, Panthers. We'll get to you guys at halftime for Luke Nettles, Josh Davidson, and Josh Ward. I'm Ivan Vargas. This is the Basement Monsters podcast. We'll see you guys at the half.
I just heard my favorite band is in town. I'd love to get good seats, but everywhere I've looked, the ticket sites have crazy service fees.
Haven't you heard of TixBlitz?
Who?
TixBlitz. They don't gouge you with crazy fees. The price they advertise is the price you pay, plus a small delivery fee.
Never pay service fees again. Go to TIXBLITZ.com today. TixBlitz.com. Guaranteed seats.